G'day riders, this is Mr. Kiwi Rider.
This is Kiwi Rider.
3 months ago we had no clue how to fabricate with metal. Not that kind of metal. Rel had the idea to build or retrofit almost her stock Harley-Davidson Sissy Bar with a metal Black Widow motif. Because as you may or may not know, her bike is referred to as Black Widow. Neither of us had any clue how to fabricate with metal, so we came up with the idea of approaching a very good friend of ours, Bevan. He's a light engineer by trade, and asking him would he be open to teaching us some metal fabrication techniques. He graciously said he would, and we set down a path of meeting with him every couple of weeks on a Saturday and learning skills, learning how to manipulate metal into the shapes that we wanted.
Yes.
That is what happened. I concur. Today we are recapping basically. This is the final vlog. We're going to show you images of the finished piece, which has been in use now for quite a while. Rel will talk a bit more about that later. How did you find the process of learning and fabricating? Discuss.
Yeah, it was a fun process. It was nice to be able to use your brain a bit and think about how to problem solve and how it might go together, how it might work, plus learning new skills. It was a lot of fun. There was only one day that I felt it was really challenging, and it was working with tiny bits of steel rod and trying to fabricate those. That was hard, and it was fiddly.
That was hard, yeah.
Yeah, but we did it. For the most part, it was just really fun, yeah. I
really enjoyed working alongside you. The sharing of ideas, the translation of ideas, the communication that goes into it. We didn't always get it right. I mean, there were days, particularly that day, we were both feeling pretty shirty, but we got there.
But we did, and for the most part, we actually worked together really well. A lot of it was just getting on and doing it and working out who's going to do what and just doing it.
I love the whole process and can see that from when we started to when we finished, our skills were just so much better. The biggest hurdle to overcome?
I guess those fiddly bits, that might have been the hardest part. But other than that, it was really just working it out a step at a time.
Bevan was really skilled at what he does, and he was also really good at sharing that knowledge and showing us the process. So I don't feel like there was any major hurdles. If anything, it was the length of time, and purely because we could only go for a few hours on a Saturday. We didn't want to take hours and hours of Bevan's time in a short space of time, so we spread it out over 12 weeks or so. By the end of that, we were working fairly autonomously. We didn't really need a lot of Bevan's input for the things that we were doing. He did create most of the spider. Quite an incredible process, really, wasn't it?
It was amazing watching how he made that and put that together. Yeah, it was
just from a solid piece of metal.
Yeah. Was there anything I found easy about it? Welding was tricky to learn, but once you get the basics, I think we were okay as novices to just get on with it. So I guess in one way it was slightly easier to learn than I thought it might have been.
I did a small amount of metal work in intermediate school or what might be called middle school. Plus I've worked in practical industries and quite like to create and work with my hands. So there were elements of it that came fairly naturally. For instance, the blacksmithing, the hammering of the metal rods into curves and shapes. I found that came to me quite easy. I could picture in my head what the curve needed to be and then just kind of instantly create that.
The bit that you're talking about where you hammer hammer out the curve. I found that hard. That was not easy for me, and it did not come naturally for me. That was tricky for me, that bit.
You tell me which bit you enjoyed, and I'll tell you if I enjoyed making that bit.
Pick the movie.
How did you find Bevan's tutelage?
We could not have had a better teacher. So patient, and he's safety conscious. He helps you understand what you need to do without being overbearing.
As we said earlier, the Sissy Bar has been in use. You've used it. How did it perform?
So the very first time I used it, we were going away and I had 2 bags, one really big Harley-Davidson bag and then a smaller one, both attached to the Sissy Bar that we made. And it worked amazingly well, just how we wanted it to. It is sitting above the back fender, it's got good strength. There were no issues in terms of getting the cords to fit or the bag over the Sissy Bar and the spider. Even though the spider comes out a fair way, it performed just how we would want it to.
I think because the main part of the Sissy Bar, which was the stock part from the Sportster Sissy Bar, is still there, the strength hasn't been compromised. And in fact, adding all of those web parts will have strengthened it even more. So the final part that you folks wouldn't have seen yet was the painting of the Sissy Bar. Now, when we finished fabricating it, Bevan sent it to the powder coaters and it was powder coated black. We actually have some footage of when we first saw the finished product with the black powder coating on it. The Sissy Bars come back from the powder coaters.
So it does actually fall over.
Ta-da!
Wow.
Oh wow.
That's
Oh man.
beautiful. Put a finish on that.
It just pulls the whole thing together, just being all that one colour, doesn't it? But man, even just looking at that spider, being completely black, completely even black, it's just brought it to life even more, hasn't it? So the final part was adding red highlights in specific areas on the spider and on the web. So the back of the Black Widow has the hourglass shape, that is red. We also added some red to the pincers, and there was faded red within the webs. Talk us through the painting of the red.
The back of the spider was always going to be red, that was always going to be there, but we kind of had a little bit of a process around where to put the red on the web. We decided to do it from dark to light, so the center, the beginning of the web down here is really dark red, and then as it goes up it goes into a fade to black.
And that was a cool process in itself. And I remember watching you painting that and just thinking how confident you looked with it. And I know that you've done some hand painting in the past with some signage, that type of thing. You obviously enjoyed that, I think.
I do like doing that, and I had it in my head how I wanted it to look. So I guess I did feel confident because I knew how I wanted it to look, I knew what had to be done. And then after it was semi-dry, not fully dry, but not fully wet, so we left it to dry a wee bit and started kind of buffing it back to give it that used kind of look and that faded look.
Just using a plastic wool buffing sheet to buff that red off of the powder coating.
Can you remind me what type of paint we use for the red?
Enamel. We actually used Humbrol modelling enamel, and we had no idea how much paint we'd have to use. So we got 5 of the little tins. We barely used one.
So we have extra if you need some.
So if anybody needs 4 cans of unused Humbrol modelling paint,
come to us.
get in touch at the number below. Any final words about the whole project?
I love everything about it. I loved learning and trying new stuff and working together, and the finished product.
And the fact that we can look at it and say we made that. There's not another one like it in the world. It's pretty special, eh?
Yeah.
And that's the exciting thing about customizing, I think. And we need to look for the next project now. What are we gonna customize next? The ultimate goal is to build a motorcycle. Maybe we just have to bite the bullet at some stage, buy a crusty old bike and chop the hell out of it. Last thing I want to say, and I've said this before, we're in our 40s, very early 40s, aren't we?
Some of us are.
Very early 40s.
In our early 40s.
Very early, in fact. We're still children, really. Never stop learning. If you get to a point in your life where you think, oh, this is my life now, but you have hopes and dreams and there's things you always wanted to do, get out there and do them. Make them happen however you can. Talk to people that are interested in it. So you talk to the right people. There's people out there that will help you. Just like Bevan did, he graciously said, hey, I'll teach you a few things. And we appreciate that so much. What a valuable thing to be able to give someone. It's been a hell of a journey. Are we done? Is that it?
I think that's it.
Is that it for now?
That's it for now.
That's it for now. Two Kiwi Riders signing off.